but I was bad. She was awesome. She really was. It was all me. I was just look. We don't need to talk about what I was doing, but I wasn't protecting her and protecting those vows.
I don't trust him. He wasn't faithful to me or the family.
But it was important to me that they learn not to try to be their dad.
From Brandy Maxiel discovering on television that Jason Maxiel cheated 341 times, to Shaquille O'Neal's infidelity humiliating his family, to Juanita Vanoy refusing to raise her sons to repeat Michael Jordan's mistakes. These are women who refused silence, challenged power, and exposed the truth behind basketball's biggest legends. Let's get into it. Juanita Vanoy. Let's start with the woman who is married to the greatest basketball player of all time, Juanita Vanoy, the first wife of Michael Jordan himself. And let me tell you, this story is absolutely fascinating because it shows us that even behind the most perfect public image, there can be a storm brewing that nobody sees coming. For 17 long years, Juanita stood beside Michael as he transformed from a rising star into a global icon, a living legend whose name became synonymous with basketball excellence. They met back in March of 1985 at a Bennigan's restaurant in Chicago, introduced by mutual friends after a Bulls game, and their connection was immediate. Despite the whirlwind of fame that surrounded Michael from the very beginning, despite the constant attention and the never-ending pressure that comes with being the face of a dynasty, they married in September 1989 in a late-night ceremony at the Little White Chapel in Las Vegas. And here's the crucial detail that would later prove significant. They did so without a prenuptial agreement. Together, they raised 3 children, Jeffrey, Marcus, and Jasmine. And while Michael was busy collecting championship rings and building his empire of endorsement deals, Juanita was the one holding the family together behind the scenes, instilling values that would shape their children for a lifetime. She understood something profound about raising children in the shadow of greatness. But behind the scenes, while the world saw nothing but championships and perfection, the marriage was quietly crumbling. In 2002, Juanita made a decision that would change everything. She hired a private investigator who reportedly documented Michael seeing multiple women over a concentrated period of time, providing concrete and undeniable evidence of his extramarital activities. One particularly well-documented affair was with Carla Naffel, a singer, which allegedly began just 3 months after their wedding and lasted for 3 entire years. Michael reportedly paid Naffel a substantial $250,000 to maintain secrecy about their relationship. The couple first filed for divorce in January 2002, but reconciled shortly after, in what many hoped would be a fresh start. However, the damage had already been done, and the wounds proved too deep to heal.
Sons, when they were playing basketball, growing up through 8th grade and then in high school, the coaches always wanted them to wear the number 23 because their dad was number 23. But it was important to me that they learn not to try to be their dad. They needed to understand that they had to develop their own skills and they needed to work hard and learn how to manage their own challenges on their own. And so I would insist that they not wear number 23. And the boys understood that, right?
Filed again in 2006, and the divorce was finalized on December 29th of that year. The settlement, a staggering $168 million, became one of the largest celebrity divorce payouts ever recorded in public history. What makes Juanita truly remarkable is not an explosive exposé or a tell-all memoir filled with salacious details. It's her dignified silence throughout the entire ordeal. She chose to protect her children from the chaos while ensuring she received exactly what she deserved. Today, she focuses on her businesses and philanthropy, having emerged from the shadow of basketball's greatest legend with her dignity completely intact and her head held high. Next on the list, Shaunie Henderson. If there's one woman who took her experience as an NBA wife and transformed it into an entire empire, it's absolutely Shaunie Henderson, the ex-wife of none other than the legendary Shaquille O'Neal. Born Vishandia Carlette Nelson on November 27, 1974, in Wichita Falls, Texas, Shaunie met Shaq in the late 1990s during the absolute height of his dominance in the NBA. They married on December 26, 2002, at the prestigious Beverly Hills Hotel, and together they would go on to share 4 children: Sharif, Amira, Shakur, and Miara. From the outside looking in, they appeared to be the ultimate power couple. But the marriage was plagued by persistent infidelity that Shaunie simply could not ignore. Separations occurred in both 2007 and 2009, creating a pattern of breaking apart and coming back together that ultimately proved unsustainable. The divorce was finalized on May 11, 2011. Shaq himself would later admit to his failures in his 2011 memoir, Shaq Uncut, describing his—
I was young. Despite the rumors, I didn't save a little for the rainy day. I wish I had them. But I got divorced, and I really had to start all over. I had to figure out how to manage my money, what to do with it, how to protect it, how to double it. And it was more, again, back to survival mode. I didn't want child support to be my source of life. I was like, this ain't it.
Infidelity as nothing more than an ego boost amid the pressures and temptations of fame. Shaunie has been remarkably candid about what life was like after the divorce, the financial strain, the emotional toll, and the challenge of starting completely over. But the revelation that truly shook the sports world came in her 2024 memoir, Undefeated: Changing the Rules and Winning on My Own Terms. In those pages, Shaunie dropped a bombshell no one saw coming. She wrote that, looking back, she doesn't know if she ever truly loved Shaq, that perhaps she was more in love with the idea of building a family and creating a marriage than she was with the actual man himself. Shaq's response on social media was heartbreaking in its vulnerability. "Trust me, I get it. I wouldn't have been in love with me either. Wishing you all the best. All love." Shaq, and to his credit, Shaq has been remarkably honest about taking full responsibility for what happened to their marriage. But here's where Shaunie's story takes an inspiring turn. She didn't just expose Shaq's failures and walk away feeling sorry for herself. She built an entire empire from the ashes of her marriage. She created Basketball Wives on VH1 in 2010, becoming an executive producer through her company, Amira Incorporated. The show has now run for 12 seasons and counting, transforming Shaunie into one of the most powerful women in all of reality television. Today, Shaunie is happily remarried to Pastor Shaunie Henderson, and she has successfully turned her painful past into a platform for empowerment and inspiration for women everywhere. There is also the NBA player, wife who waited long enough to spill the truth about her husband, Larsa Pippen. Few NBA marriages have been as publicly dissected, analyzed, and debated as the union between Larsa and Scottie Pippen. And when Larsa finally decided to break her silence about what really happened behind closed doors, she absolutely did not hold anything back. Larsa, born on July 6, 1974, in Chicago to Assyrian parents, married Scottie on July 20, 1997,